2 years later. Lin Yu Chen, Omega. 2 years passed more quickly than I expected. I never forgot how our marriage had begun, but neither could I ignore everything that followed. Adrian kept every promise he had made that night. He never demanded affection. He never ordered me to smile. Instead, he simply stayed. When I caught a fever, he canceled military meetings. When I wanted to continue acting in university productions, he arranged security rather than forbidding me to go. When I missed my mother, he quietly sat beside me without speaking until I stopped crying. Little by little, the fear faded. Something else quietly took its place. One morning, my mother-in-law frowned as I served breakfast. 2 years already. Still no child? What kind of Omega are you? I lowered my head. I'm sorry. She clicked her tongue. Our family needs an heir. Before I could answer, Adrian entered the dining room. He heard every word. He calmly placed his teacup on the table. As long as Yu Chen is healthy and happy, I won't ask for anything else. His mother frowned. The bloodline. If it's only children you want, Adrian interrupted evenly. Mother's cousins have plenty. You may adopt one if you wish. The room fell silent. His mother glared at both of us before sighing. I don't know how he convinced you. Do whatever you want. She left in annoyance. I looked at Adrian. You didn't have to argue with her. He smiled faintly. I did. You shouldn't apologize.
Adrian Kale, Alpha Commander. Yu Chen smiled more often now. He laughed with the servants. He scolded me when I skipped meals. Sometimes he even waited for me to come home before eating dinner. Those tiny moments became the happiest parts of my day. Then, one report landed on my desk. A new syndicate had appeared in the neighboring province. Their leader had expanded rapidly. They've already taken over several underground organizations. I skimmed the report. The name meant nothing to me, but for reasons I couldn't explain, an uneasy feeling settled in my chest. What I didn't know was that the past we had both tried to bury was already walking back into our lives. Adrian Kale, Alpha Commander. The intelligence report lay open on my desk. A new criminal syndicate, rapid expansion, military-grade weapons, illegal gambling dens, smuggling routes. Their leader had defeated 3 powerful organizations in less than 6 months. Even the provincial government had begun to pay attention. One name caught my eye, the Crimson Wolf Syndicate. They're becoming troublesome, my vice commander said. I closed the file. We'll let the authorities deal with them. Yes, sir. As my officers left, the door opened quietly. Yu Chen entered carrying a tray. You skipped lunch again. I looked up. He wore a simple pale blue changpao, his black hair tied neatly behind him. He looked more like a celestial than the actor I had first seen 2 years ago. He frowned. I told the chef not to let you work without eating. I smiled unconsciously. And yet you're the one bringing me food. He placed the tea in front of me. Drink. I obeyed immediately. He chuckled. Even after 2 years, that smile still stole my breath. Then his eyes landed on the report. Another case? Dangerous? Nothing I can't handle. He nodded without asking further. He had learned not to interfere with military affairs. As he turned to leave, I almost called his name, almost asked, if someone from your past came back, would you leave with him? The words stopped in my throat. For the first time in my life, I was afraid of hearing the answer.
Something felt strange. Adrian had smiled less these past few days. He spent longer hours in his office. Sometimes I found him staring into space. At dinner, I finally asked, "Is something bothering you?" He looked at me for several seconds. Then he smiled gently. No. It was obviously a lie, but I didn't press him. Instead, I placed another piece of fish into his bowl. "You'll get sick if you keep working." He blinked. "You're worrying about me?" I looked away awkwardly. "You are my husband. If you collapse, I'll have to look after you." His eyes softened. "Then I'll try not to collapse." Why did that simple smile make my heart beat faster? 3 days later, the answer arrived. Adrian returned home long after midnight. His military uniform was torn. There was dried blood on his sleeve. My heart dropped. "Adrian!" I rushed toward him. Before the servants could react, I supported his weight. "What happened?" One of his officers angrily answered. "The new syndicate ambushed us. They've declared war. Their leader escaped again." My hands trembled as I helped Adrian sit down. The physician quickly examined the wound. "It's only a bullet graze. He'll recover." Only then did I finally breathe again. I carefully cleaned the blood from Adrian's hand myself. He watched me silently. "You're angry?" I looked up. "Of course I am. You promised to come home safely." His lips curved into a faint smile. "I'm sorry." I froze. The commander actually apologized? Behind us, several soldiers quietly exchanged shocked looks. One whispered, "The commander apologizes only to Madam." Another nodded seriously. "Our commander is hopeless." I couldn't help laughing. Adrian looked relieved simply hearing me laugh.
Kai, leader of the Crimson Wolf Syndicate.
So, he married him after all? I stood before the floor-to-ceiling window of my headquarters, looking over the neon lights of the Capitol. One of my men placed a photograph on the desk. It showed Adrian and Yuchen entering the military residence together. Yuchen was smiling. Smiling. My chest tightened. Boss, should we continue attacking Commander Adrian? I stared at the photograph. I didn't spend 2 years building an empire just to watch someone else live the life that should have been mine. My subordinate hesitated. What if young Master Lin doesn't want to leave? I laughed quietly. He thinks he's happy. He only believes that because Adrian never gave him another choice. I'll remind him who he used to love. I picked up the photograph. My fingers gently brushed Yuchen's smiling face. Wait for me. I'm coming to bring you home.
My husband stole my first love. Chapter 5. The Night I Chose You. Lin Yuchen, Omega. Rain poured relentlessly against the mansion windows. Lightning flashed across the night sky. I sat alone in the living room, unable to calm the uneasiness in my heart. Adrian should have been home hours ago. Another hour passed. Then the front doors burst open. Several soldiers rushed inside. Quickly, call the doctor! I jumped to my feet. Adrian was barely conscious, supported by 2 officers. Blood stained the side of his military coat. My face went pale. What happened? He protected one of us from a sniper's bullet, an officer answered. He refused to retreat. The physician hurried over and treated the wound. Fortunately, the bullet had only grazed him, but he had lost a great deal of blood. After everyone left, silence filled the room. I sat beside his bed. For the first time since our marriage, I realized how terrified I was of losing him. His hand twitched. Slowly, silver eyes opened. Yuchen, you idiot. My voice trembled. You promised to come home. A faint smile appeared on his lips. I did. You almost didn't. I lowered my head, unable to stop the tears. Warm fingers gently wiped them away. I'm sorry. I looked into his eyes. For 2 years, he had protected me. He had stood between me and every harsh word. He never forced me to return his feelings. He simply loved me, quietly, patiently, without asking for anything. The answer had been in my heart for months. I had only been too afraid to admit it. I took his hand and intertwined our fingers. When you were unconscious, I thought, if you never opened your eyes again, I'd regret never telling you. He watched me silently. I choose you, Adrian. His breathing stopped for a moment. What did you say? I said, I really hated you before. I don't know exactly when my heart changed. Maybe when you stopped Father from hitting me. Maybe when you defended me from Mother. Maybe every time you came home injured. A tear escaped my eye. But somewhere along the way, I fell in love with my husband. Adrian stared at me in complete disbelief. Then, for the first time since I had known him, the legendary commander cried. He laughed softly through his tears. I thought I would spend my whole life waiting for those words. I leaned forward and rested my forehead against his. You waited long enough. He gently cupped my face. May I kiss you? This time, there was no fear, no hesitation. I smiled. Yes. He kissed me with infinite tenderness, as though I were something precious he was afraid to break. When the kiss ended, he rested his forehead against mine. There is one more thing. In our tradition, if you truly accept me as your alpha, will you let me mark you? I remembered everything that mark symbolized. Trust, family, a lifelong bond. This time, no one was forcing me. I nodded. Yes. With one last questioning glance, Adrian waited. When I gave a small smile, he gently embraced me. The rain continued to fall outside as he completed the traditional bond between us, holding me close afterwards as if I were the greatest treasure in the universe. Neither of us spoke. Words were no longer necessary. For the first time since our marriage, we were truly husband and husband. Neither of us noticed. Far away, a man was stepping off a starship into the capital. Kai had finally returned. He smiled bitterly as he looked toward the lights of the city. Kai had finally returned. Yuchen, I've come back, unaware that the heart he hoped to reclaim had already chosen someone else.
Final arc, the choice of my heart. Lin Yuchen, Omega. The world collapsed on an ordinary afternoon. I had finished my audition. The moment I stepped outside, black vehicles surrounded me. Before the guards could react, smoke grenades exploded. Protect Madam! Gunfire erupted.
Someone grabbed my waist from behind. I struggled. "Let me go!" A familiar voice whispered beside my ear. "Yu Chen." I froze. "Kai?" He removed his mask. It really was him. "I've finally come to take you away." Before I could answer, darkness swallowed my vision. When I opened my eyes, I was inside an abandoned warehouse. Kai sat quietly beside the window. He smiled gently. "You're awake." He walked over and untied my wrists. "I promised I'd rescue you." I rubbed my sore wrists. "You shouldn't have done this." He looked confused. "What?" "Kidnapping me. I'm not a prisoner. I'm Adrian's husband." Pain flashed across Kai's face. "He forced you. He stole you. I've spent years becoming strong enough to bring you back." He wrapped his arms around me. "You don't have to pretend anymore. I'll protect you now." For a brief moment, I remembered the carefree university days when I thought we would spend our lives together. But those memories felt distant. I gently stepped out of his embrace. Kai blinked. "Yu Chen?" I lowered my head. "I'm grateful you never forgot me, but my heart isn't where it used to be." Silence. Kai's smile slowly disappeared. "No, you still love me. You've just forgotten." He reached toward my face. I instinctively stepped back. The movement shocked both of us. He whispered, "You moved away." I couldn't even explain it myself. My body reacted before my thoughts did. "I'm sorry. I can't." His hands slowly fell to his sides. For the first time, he understood. I had truly changed.